shirt, a new one this week, and you got a picture of it.
Yeah.
Picture of someone else who pops it.
Yeah, it was months before Christmas and everything. I had some, all of a sudden, really old start here. There was like just different things. My parents still stains, couldn't get them off anymore, things like that. And I was complaining about it, and so all of a sudden, Christmas, I go to open up stuff. She must have worked at it for quite a few weeks, going around to like Bias and Ross and things like that to find sizes that would actually fit and everything. But yeah, so I ended up getting pretty much a new wardrobe for Sunday. So I was.
When you get bigger, you gotta.
Yeah, that happens.
You know how that works.
I'm like, I'm sitting there, I'm going, man, why does this keep on getting bigger, but my weight has actually stayed the same? So I'm like,
I like when I burn the dryer.
there you go. Yeah. As bad as like I was like, hey, you must have shrunk this, you must have shrunk this. And then all of a sudden I grabbed out a pair of pants and they really were shrunk. So then I'm like, old little pair. All right, guys, good morning. We'll go ahead and start getting ready here. Announcements-wise. More Than a Memory, Jesus 2. Be out of Luke and Matthew. That's going to be the sermon after class. Today's class, we're going to be out of Psalms, and we're going to move to Psalms 66. We've been in 77 for a few weeks. We're going to move to 66. Now, it's kind of battling between this one and 56. So we'll probably next week, if we get a chance, we'll probably go to 56. As there's some really, I don't know, I think it's really cool, but Bible study, come and join us Monday at 7 p.m. And it says underneath it, why come? If Sunday serves one meal on one day, can we survive with having only one meal for an entire week? And so it says, come and experience the living Bible and never be hungry. And then a cool little thing, it actually turned out really, really well. So like grab a bulletin and like kind of look at some of this stuff. I thought it was pretty cool. The Heroes of Faith there on Tuesday night, and I don't know, my wife's good at putting stuff like this together. I'm not, so great job there, because like just the little figures and everything else that's in there, and it shows actually literally the heroes, pictures of the heroes of faith. It's kind of cool. Spiritual retreat. February 21st, pray for those who are going. Montana leading, and he has a lot of unbelievably great material that he's going to be bringing. And I've been excited, all the little pieces that I keep on getting to hear. I'm kind of upset that I won't give you pieces, but you know, that's what happens when you don't go, I guess, and then we get the little tiny bits. But anyway, still, it sounds so exciting. I'm so glad for all those who are going to be able to go. And then the next one, April 19th and 21st, it's already, I believe there's already a sign-up sheet out there. Movie night, March 2nd at 7 p.m. And then you guys, I believe we're going to come right back with another one there in April. Okay? So the first, I think it's the first Friday of April also. Okay? But this one's going to be The Shack. And then we've been looking at like the Fourth Wiseman and a couple of other ones. Facing the Giants, there's like a few of them that are out there that are really, really sweet and have some really, really great story to them. So, but this one here, March 2nd, 7 p.m., The Shack. Terrell says that he has a tripod. Rudy, he said he has a tripod projector screen that he can set up right in the middle, and he has the whole entire setup for it. So that way it can be center stage instead of off the stage right. So I told him, sure, if he wants to bring it all down and set it all up, we let him. So just letting you know, because I know that, you know, try to communicate on that part there about getting all the technology side of it all in place. So looking forward to that. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll have popcorn. As far as like anything else, guys, if you want other snacks or anything like that, be wise. If you got little tiny ones, like I'm not going to hand a chocolate bar to Leia and have her sit down in the pew and try to eat chocolate while watching, a movie. because not only is she going to be covered in a mess, but then the pew's going to be covered in a mess. So just a little bit of wisdom and some of that stuff. It's one thing if you break off a little piece and put it in her mouth, maybe, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's, be wise about it. Let's take care of, what we do have. Okay. Yet at the same time, let's come and have fun. And so if you want to bring some snacks and things like that, go ahead. Starting the movie at 7, we try to put it at that time so that way everybody has enough time to get off of work, hopefully be able to grab a bite to eat and get down. Okay? So we thought that 7 p.m. would kind of be the best, not too late, but not too early. Okay? So The Shack, looking forward to it. I've never seen it. I know a bunch of you have. Tracy, from everything everybody keeps on saying is we've got to make sure that every pew has multiple tissue boxes available. Everybody's going to be crying. Everybody's going to be crying. And make sure me and Rudy both have 2 boxes each because we cry anyways. I still cry when I think of Earl Yeller, so I cried during Sandlot. I mean, that's a fun movie. Yeah. So anyways, it'll be a lot of fun though, and I look forward to sharing that with everybody and us being able to share some laughs and some great experiences of the Lord together. In all things that we do, not just that, but in all things that we do going forward. All right. So I believe that kind of covers all the announcements, guys. Again, today we're going to be in Psalm 66. So Psalm 66. Anthony, you open us up a word of prayer.
Just thank you for opening the doors today that allow us to just come in and worship and just thank you for your son, Jesus Christ, for he's opened the door to heaven, Father. We know nothing about it. I just want to thank you for Roger and Butch and the things that they bring to us each and every day, Father. Just the Monday night that inspired me through the whole week, Father. Just the words from Roger that he talks through. It's the simplest thing, but it's so great, Father. I just want to thank you for the body that we have. In your precious son's name we pray. Amen.
All right, guys, Psalm 66. So, backing up real quick, Psalm 77. What we've been talking about is really remembering Him. All right? The reality is that whatever is real in your heart, that is what will come up out of your mouth. If He's what you're remembering, then what will be coming up out of your mouth? Him, according to the Lord Himself. Yes? And by the way, He's never lied. So just in case you're ever wondering, or thinking, oh, well, no, it's not really that way, only sometimes or whatever else. Yeah, remember, He's the one who does not lie. Yeah? So you all should already know that you have, and you do. Sometimes even when you think you're telling the truth, it really ain't the truth. Yeah? So, but He doesn't lie. In that Psalm 77, before that, I believe it, and again, I don't have my other notebook where I have the other notes. I've transitioned into new notebooks. It drives me nuts at first when I first do that because referring back, I don't get to. I want to say it was 103, Psalms 103, but he kind of, from the very beginning, just rejoice in the Lord. Rejoice in the Lord always. Yeah, and then he started off in the very, very positive. Man, remember Him, remember, and he asked the Lord, remember Him. Man, Lord, remember me. And then he makes mention of all the things he remembers about the Lord. Then in Psalm 77, what we had was kind of a little bit of a different outlook. So in Psalm 77, he comes in and he's saying, Lord and God, the first verse 1, of 77, he's making a statement of fact. He said, man, I cried out to the Lord, and the Lord did hear me. That's a statement of fact. And he's saying that because of after the fact. Okay? But then on verse 2 through 9, he goes through what all he was doing, what was happening. And everything, he says Lord over and over again. He says God over and over again. And yet at the same time, it's all of my problems, my troubles, my this, my that. And he talks about how he's up all night long, reaching for God, trying to remember, trying to do this, trying to do that. And it's pain and misery. We talked about it last week, the depression, the fear, all these different emotions that he's going through. And it's not that we haven't been there before. And if he wouldn't have been seeking the Lord, he would not have found the Lord. You know? So, you know, don't play it off too much in one sense, but yet at the same hand, what I thought was amazing about it is it really shows, it showed in that the difference between knowledge of God and then living God. In the first part there, 2 through 9, it's all knowledge. But in the turmoil, the self, the sin, the failures, the this, the that, and again, guys, he doesn't state exactly what he had done. Okay? He doesn't glorify that, but at the same time, the pain and the anguish that it caused him and that he was going through, you know, he makes very, very clear that that's where he was at. And meanwhile, he throws out, again, the things about God and the Lord, and it's all these things that he knows is that way. But then all of a sudden, in verse 10, is where he stops and he says, no, wait a minute, this is all my own infirmity. This is my own sickness. All of this stuff, that's just, that's the curse, it's the nasty, and it's all me, it's not God. Because if you remember right before that, he blames God. God, have you turned your back on me? God, you've removed your mercies. Are they going to fail me forever? You know, all these different things. And, you know, what does God already say? My mercy endures forever. And God's already made that promise. It's this way. You know? Now, does he know that scripture? Certainly he does, because otherwise he wouldn't make mention of it in the exact same wording. Yes? Is he living it? No. Knowledge of it, saying Lord, but not really living. And then all of a sudden he says, wait a minute, no, this is my own sickness? No, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to remember his strength. See, all the time before that, he was always looking for strength. Yes? But what he wasn't leaning on was God's. And he says that, like, he's making a choice, a decision, that he's going to change what he's living towards God. What he's remembering about God. Remember, before he says, man, I cannot speak. I'm in so much pain. Right? And then all of a sudden you turn around and he says, I'm going to talk of all the wonderful works of God. Night and day. Overjoyed. Rejoicing in the Lord. Pain, suffering, torment. And he even says, even the thought of God brought him pain. Yeah? So you get these two contrasts of an experience that this one boy has and one other. Well, and we have been there. Now the difference is, though, is he didn't stay there. So you wonder, like, what happens then with those that then, you know, really die in that nastiness? The only difference was that they stayed in the nastiness instead of finally saying, you know what, no, I'm going to put that behind me, and I'm going to grab a hold of him. And you realize what he does. All of a sudden, he doesn't mention any of that stuff anymore. All he mentions is the works of God, the power of God, the strength of God, and even nature itself obeys him. Yes? He talks about the spiritual, and then he talks about the natural. Yes? And so in that, you know, what does it show you? It shows you that he is God. So, oh my gosh, these pains, these stuff. No, he's the God of the natural. Oh my gosh, look at these spiritual things. He's the God of the spiritual. And then you see him rejoicing, and his final statement of all of it is, you know what? God's leading his people. It's going to be awesome. Because, by the way, when he mentions, he says, Moses and Aaron, where did they actually lead the people? To the promised land. Yes? And he says, so just as he did with them, he's also doing that for us. Yeah? And so you see his excitement, his rejoicement, and that he's not going to lay down and die in the nastiness. He's going to get up, and what he's going to live, though, is God. It's not his thoughts. It's not his cares. It's not even what he's feeling. And then it's amazing, because then his feeling changes. His thoughts change. His cares change. But it's not him trying to change them as much as it is him just saying, oh, God, you are it. Yeah? Before, he kept on trying to find it. Couldn't find it. But as soon as he says, no, God, it's just going to be you. It's going to be your way. And then he brings us back to this word that's been brought up over the last couple of months here and there. And we just keep on kind of splashing it out there. But is that word submit? What does submit really mean? Surrender. Let go. You know, submit to the Lord under his mighty works. What is the mighty work of God? Jesus Christ. What did Jesus do? He gathered up all of our sins, and first he lived a perfect life. Yeah? I mean, we can't even get there. You understand? We can't even get the first part ourselves. So you want to talk about a mighty work that's got to be of God and not of flesh, yes? Yet he was in flesh. But he was God in flesh. And he kept that flesh perfect. Then he gathers up all of our sins, and not just ours, but that of the entire world, from beginning to end. As the scripture says, it's because Jesus Christ was already sin crucified that God was able to pass over all the sins that were previously committed. Well, how is he able to pass over all the sins that are being committed yet? Because he's God. He sees that Jesus Christ has died for all. Yes? So submit to that. It's like that. He's God. He conquered sin. Sin is gone. There's this wrong, there's that. Submit to God. He's God. He's God. He died. Submit. Let it go. Give it that way. But I feel, no, submit to God. Let it go. Believe God. Walk in Him. Follow Jesus. Follow me. Oh, and then if you're submitted to that, what's real in your heart? There's sin. Oh man, there's Christ who's taking away sin. I'm going to submit to that. Then what's real in your heart?
Yes.
He's taking away my sins. Yes? He's taking away their sins. Then what's going to come up out of your mouth?
Yeah.
And what do you remember? Him. Yes? And what do you, from the sermon last week, what can you be so assured of then? That you are more than a member. Him. Yeah? I hope so. Got like 3 amens in there. All right, guys, today, Psalm 66. Make a joyful shout unto the Lord, all the earth. Sing out the honor of His name. Make His praise glorious. Say to God, how awesome are your works. Through the greatness of your power, your enemies shall submit themselves to you. All the earth shall worship you and sing praises to you. They shall sing praises to your name. Salah. Come and see the works of God. He is awesome in His doing towards the sons of men. He turned the sea into dry land. They went through the river on foot. There we will rejoice in Him. He rules by His power forever. His eyes observe the nations, and do not let the rebellious exalt themselves. Salah. Oh, bless our God, you peoples, and make the voice of His praise to be heard, who keeps our soul among the living, and does not allow our feet to be moved. For you, O God, have tested us. You have refined us as silver is refined. You brought us into the net. You laid affliction on our backs. You have caused men to ride over our heads. We went through fire and through water, but you brought us out to rich fulfillment. I will go into your house with burnt offerings. I will pay you my vows, which my lips have uttered, and my mouth has spoken when I was in trouble. I will offer you burnt sacrifices of fat animals with the sweet aroma of rams. I will offer bulls with goats. Salah. Come and hear, all you who fear God, and I will declare what He has done for my soul. I cried to Him with my mouth, and He extolled me with my tongue. If I regard iniquity in my heart, the Lord will not hear. But certainly God has heard me. He has attended to the voice of my prayer. Blessed be God, who has not turned away my prayer, nor His mercy from me. Remember Him. Make a joyful shout to God, all the earth. Sing out the honor of His name. Make His praise glorious. Say to God, how awesome are your works. Through the greatness of your power, Your enemies shall submit themselves to you. All the earth shall worship you and sing praises to you. They shall sing praises to your name. Make a joyful shout to God. The psalmist starts off with this simple reality. What is all the statements that he's making? Praise. Worship. All glory. Make a joyful shout to God. He goes ahead and declares all the earth. Why should all the earth? He died for all. Yes? Now he makes a statement later on, and I'm going to kind of jump here to some verses right down below. He makes a statement later on that the enemies will. His enemies will. All the earth will. This is the way it will be. Why does he make these statements? Huh? Okay, one is he has faith in what God's going to do. Why do you think he has faith that God can do that in every man? Okay, I'm sorry. April, I couldn't hear you.
It's a reality.
Okay, why is it his reality? Because that's what he's living, because that's what God did to him. Yeah? That's one. You know, there's also a second part to this. Is he's making a statement here. It's all by the greatness of his power that this was done. Yes? So is the psalmist trying to take any glory whatsoever for his own salvation? No. It's all under his power. Then he goes furthermore and he says, for the enemies shall submit. And here that word submit is a little bit different in the Hebrew than that of to bow down. It is to worship, to bow down. That he will cause them to bow down to him. What is he talking about? You guys, okay, let me just put this okay. One way or the other, every person's knee will bow and every tongue will confess that he is Lord and Savior. So they do it in this life, and they have the kingdom of heaven, and they live it through this life, they have the kingdom of heaven. They don't do it in this life, just as in the days of Noah, when all of a sudden the rains came. Guess what? Then all of them wanted to get in the boat. Yeah? The reality is, in that last day, he says that every knee will bow, and every tongue will confess. Only then, the sad part is, for anyone who didn't live it in this lifetime, it will be too late for them to live it then. However, they still will confess that he was always the Lord and the only Savior that had ever come into this world. Yes? And so the psalmist on one side of it is letting you know, man, this is his reality because of what God's done with him. The second part, he's letting you know, it's saying one way or the other, this is the way it's going to be. Because you know what? It doesn't always look like the enemies is that's what's taking place with the enemies. It looks like they're raising up. It looks like they're strong. It looks like this and it looks like that. And he's like, no, you don't have to worry about whatever it looks like. This is the way it's going to be. Jim?
You know, like when you're in days of Noah, but the difference in knowledge and living, they all had the knowledge of what a boat, that was the Savior. You know, and how it correlates back and forth.
Yeah. So the boat, you know, what Jim was saying there is that they all knew. Everybody knew. It says that for the 40 years that he hammered, that he preached by the hammering on that ark, that salvation was there, but judgment was coming. So their salvation is already being provided. Judgment is coming. Yeah? And everybody knew that that was there. But they didn't believe it, except for Moses and his family. They actually got up and built it. Yeah? And that's where you have it there in Hebrews where he says, for they believed the Lord, therefore it was accounted to them as faith. Because not only was it just real, but they actually got to live on that reality, therefore it was counted them as righteousness, because of their faith. Yes? All the earth will worship. One way or another, it's the way it will be. It may not look that way right now, sing out honor. I'm backing up now. Sing out honor. He begins, joyful shout. The next one is sing out honor. The next one is make his praise glorious. The next one is say to God, and then exclamation point, how awesome are your words? How awesome are God's words? Awesome. Awesome. We talked about this a little bit last week. Can you name any awesome works of God? Huh? Okay, but specifically. Okay, his compassion. That he said.
His mercy.
His mercy.
His forgiveness.
His forgiveness. His long suffering. Okay. Awesome of the things that we get to see every day. Yeah. Guys, you know, I look at like things like the enemies of God riding down on their back. And they have a body of water in front of them. They cannot, there's no way to survive it. It's shark-infested waters. There's no way. There's no way to get through. There's no way to survive. And God just says, step, and I'll take care of it. And then they did. And then I look at, like, you know, throughout my life, all that surrounds me out here in this world is just enemies that are seeking to destroy. And everywhere I look to walk, it looks like it's like it's not ground that should be sturdy enough to walk on. And then all of a sudden the Lord guides my feet, and next thing I know, I'm walking through, and there's another day, and He's what's real. Yeah? I looked at, you know, there's this desert of dryness, of care and love for God. And instead of what gets praised is what he talks about a little bit later there in verse 7, the rebellious being lifted up, exalted. And that's what it looks like all over this world. I mean, there is nothing, you know, the only thing that's newsworthy nowadays, it has to be evil, hateful, and painful. It has to be destructive. It has to be us against them. It has to be, it's just, I mean, I cannot believe, like, the things that the people that are able to, that more hateful that you can be and be publicly. See, you, like, nowadays, you know, me and Trace were having a conversation with this guy the other day. You know what, nowadays, as a man, you're not supposed to make a compliment to a woman.
Right.
You're not supposed to. Right? No, you know, now they can say it's sexual harassment if you say anything. You know, of niceness, of kindness. Now, if you call her ugly, and you record it, and you put it on YouTube, then you're a YouTube fame. And everybody loves you and follows you. But if you tell a lady that she looks beautiful today, you're not supposed to do that. You know, like how, I mean, guys, I mean, I've had all kinds of different things. You know, I've been told that, you know, I shouldn't be so loving towards my wife in public. Well, because I will. I'll hug on her, I'll kiss on her, I'll do it right there in front of anybody and everybody. You know, honestly, I want my kids to see that I show affection to my wife. You know what I mean? But yet the world says that that's not okay. However, all these other twistedness of things is what is supposed to be and is acceptable. You know, guys, I mean, it's a weird and strange world in the sense that we live in. And yet, you know what? It's no different than what it's always been. You know, you go back and you read throughout history, and you had the Romans, you had the Greeks, you had this one, you had that one, and you've had all these different, like, things. It's not really any different. The only one big difference that there is with social media and the technology, the ability to be able to blast the information all over the place. People are like, oh, there's a lot more hate in this world today. I don't think there's any more hate than what there's ever been. I just think it's easier to put it out there. You know, I don't think that there's necessarily any more, you know, people are like, oh man, all the murders and this, that, and the other thing. Well, considering the populations that we have, I don't think number-wise it's probably all that different. You know, but the difference is that as soon as something happens, media could take that and have it spread to everybody, that everybody knows about it. But you know what? They never talk about, though, the 5 people that got saved on a Sunday. But they'll talk about 5 people that got shot on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Like the way that everything that gets put out there is all this negativism. It's all the evil. It's all reasons to hate. It's to hate each other. It's to hate ourselves. It's to hate the world. To hate the, you know, and I mean, it's just hate is all that's promoted. But you know what? We're not going to let that be what's exalted.
No.
I'm not going to exalt that. I'm going to exalt my Lord.
Amen.
I'm going to sing honor of His name. I'm going to shout out the wonderful works of my Lord. I'm going to live in the joy of His salvation, His deliverance, not in the evil nastiness of this world. Yes? Yeah, class, I mean, do you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah? We're going to talk about His awesome works. Not the works, the evil works of this world. Even our own evil works. What happened to those? They're buried. And by the way, God does say something like, let it mount a charge against God's elect, for it is God who's declared them not guilty. Yes? And He isn't the Lord the one who says to reckon ourselves and our sins dead daily? Yes? Isn't it also our Lord who says, rejoice in the Lord always? And again, I say rejoice. So, you know, what are we going to find joy in? What are we going to rejoice in? What are we going to be about? What are we going to promote? Yeah?
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about the enemies. God will take care of them in time. But that's His time. That's His way. And remember, some of those enemies, like Paul, or Saul, I'm sorry, maybe I should start there, becomes Paul. See, some of the enemies, God ends up working it in a whole different way than what we would probably think in our human nature of wanting God to get an enemy. Yeah? And let me ask you, for the sufferings that He did cause to Christians, to people that believe, to families, when their loved ones are being killed for their faith. But let me ask you, did anyone suffer more for the Lord's sake that we know of? You know, guys, I've never known the stories outside of Christ of any man who walked through the fires that Paul walked through, and continually returned to the exact same people to preach the gospel. We see that over and over and over again, yes? And guess what? Sometimes those same ones that were trying to kill him one day, were hugging his neck, loving him for the gospel that he brought the next. Yeah? The wonderful works of our Lord. In verse 8, oh, I'm sorry, no, I need to back up. Verse 5. Come and see the works of God, He declares. Where are they going to see those works? Don't whisper. Tracy's back there whispering. I heard his, I seen his lips moving. I couldn't hear his music. Okay? You can if you have Him and you walk in Him, Dave. Now, He's declaring to everyone to come and to see His works. That means you got to have a place. You got to have a time. Huh?
You gotta have a preacher, too.
You got to have a preacher.
That's right.
You got to have an assembly. You got to have a place to come and see. You know, no matter where you look at throughout the history of the church, guess what there always was? A place. All right? And it makes it very, very clear over and over again. You know, as soon as Adam sins, God comes in and builds an altar and sacrifices. There's our place. You understand? I mean, because it's literally something built on the ground as a place to be able to come. Abraham goes walking, and immediately, as soon as he leaves, first thing he does is he builds an altar outside the camp. First thing noted off the ark. You know, guys, I mean, you can just, you go through the history, though, of Joseph, Jacob, You know, and sometimes it was a stack of stones. Man, here's where God, you know, because one was it Jacob with Esau and the fear that he had, and so he was fearing about having to come back into confrontation with his brother Esau for stealing the birthright, right? And so he's sitting there and he's in fear, and so he lays down to go to sleep, and then at the end of his sleep, he knows, man, God tells him, man, everything's going to be all right. And so he stacks rocks up, and he says, man, in this place, this happened. And you know that when his sons mess up really, really big, guess what he did? He went back to that place.
Yeah.
Where God said, no, all the iniquities would be taken care of. We had a place to see, yeah? And now that physical place, guys, you know, that physical place for us right now is here. Yeah? You understand? Like this is ours. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not others, but this one's ours. So you know what? I can't tell people, oh, go over there and see, but I can tell them they can come here and see.
Right.
Do you understand? Because you know one thing I can testify to is where I've seen. And I can testify of what I've seen. Yeah?
Yes.
He is awesome in his doings towards the sons of men. Everything God does towards the sons of men is awesome. If there's anything that's not awesome that's came across your life, guess what? It's not. It's not God. Because everything that he brings is awesome.
Even the bad things that do come, God turns it into awesome.
So he goes on, he says, oh, bless our God, you people, and make the voice of his praise to be heard to everybody. Because he keeps our soul. He keeps our soul in the living. Yeah? He does not allow our feet to, and he says here, he says to be moved or to slide. This is where one of the old Baptists, the backsliding, he doesn't allow that sliding. For you, O God, he says, you, O God, have tested us. But you know what? So guys, get this. Because I really appreciate this. He says, you, God, have tested us. But what does God say? God tests no man. However, God allows man to be tested. For man to know not only where they are at with God, but also where God's at with them. Yes? So he says, oh God, you have tested us, have refined us as silver is refined. You know how silver is refined. Who knows how silver is refined? Have you ever felt hot? Silver hot? You ain't never felt hot like silver hot. Yeah, 2,000 degrees. 1,000. Not 110, Terry. 2,000. Not Arizona heat. Oh, this is like hell. No. That silver, 2,000 degrees, in order for the bad stuff to be lifted up and out. For it to be able to be skimmed off. The impurities. Yes? He says, you've refined us like silver's refined. And then you brought us into your net. You laid afflictions on our back. Painful things that we got to carry around. You've caused other men to get in their cars and drive over our heads. You did this. You put us through fires and then through waters. Oh, you brought us out to a rich fulfillment. Who gets what he just did? Nobody? Okay. Okay, well, the thing is now he allowed all those other things. Now, see, the thing is he's actually giving the glory of these things to God. He's not blaming God. He's not blaming God for these things that are happening. He's giving the glory of those things that has happened. Because at every one of these things that has happened, what has God always done for him? And he's declaring, guys, his story. Right? This psalmster is declaring his story of his life of faith. Yeah? And he's doing it as a testament for you to be encouraged throughout your walk of faith. See, he's not placing blame on God. No, God brought, he refined. God allowed. God brought us. He laid. Why? Why is this man over here sick? The disciples asked Jesus. Why is this one lame? Why is this one blind? Is it what his parents did? Is it the God getting him for all the bad things that he's done? Over and over again, these statements are made of Jesus. You know what Jesus always responds with? Nobody? Every single time. It's not with the sins that they have done, but it's that all glory may be given to God. So blind, see, lame, walk, dead, rise, glory, God. This world is cursed. The sin is there. Yes, we go through it. God allows it. Yes? Only to feel that every single turn. Glory to God. Glory to God. Because he's brought us out to rich, rich fulfillment. Fulfilled. Complete. You know how many times I thought that I was going to find fulfillment from something else? You know what it always did? Beat the living tar out of me. Just like God promises. You want to serve another God? Go have your God. It'll beat you. And when it does, remember the one God who did not want to beat you. But you know what he's always showing me is where my fulfillment's at. Hello? No, amen. No, there's something in this world to go mad. No, he's my fulfillment. Oh, there's all these troubles. No, he's the one who takes them away. No, there's all this sin. No, he took away. He bore. He died for. He raised. He's the victory. Fulfillment that is rich. Nobody? Nothing. I didn't even have a smile. Okay, Tracy was smiling. He was like, you look over here. You look over here. Guys, he's talking about a real experience that he's had. And you know what? I can totally relate to his experience. And you know what? And you know what's sick is at times I played it like the other songs so that try to blame God for all of it. But you know what? No, that's trash. It ain't God's fault. No, the cursedness and the infirmities and all that stuff. No, that's all me. That's all this world. I'm the one who sinned. I'm the one who's come short of the glory of God. It wasn't God who made me that. What God has done throughout every single bit of it was lift me up and show me his way. What God has done is carry me through all the way. Pat?
You don't think a lot of the burdens that are put on you, and then all of a sudden you see that he's God, he's going to bring you out of it?
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, he is. And it's the confidence that he is. And that,
The burden you put on you, isn't that to teach you?
well, exactly. And the thing is, though, is like some want to lay in the burden and die under the burden. Because what they don't want to do is look to him as the deliverer from that burden. And what this psalmist is saying all the way through is that, no, man, this happened, but man, no, God delivered me. This took place, but God delivered me. And he's giving the glory to God. And it sounds like, as he's saying, man, God did this. God did this. You know, we would normally say it was, well, you know what, if there's a burden that's brought, who's it brought by? Who's the one who brought burden onto this world? Okay, curse, it all happened through Satan is where all that nastiness came from, right? But he's not giving that to Satan. He's not even giving that to Satan. He's like, no. God's using Satan. God uses even that nastiness, but it's to make me fulfilled. It's to take me further. It's to put your eyes back on him to where you're not looking for the fulfillment or the trash of this world. Yeah? But instead, you kept on looking to the Savior. I'm out of time. He goes on, guys, and I'll say this. He goes on with the burnt offerings. He says, I will pay you my vows, which my lips have uttered and my mouth has spoken when I was in trouble. I talked about this last week. Have you ever been in trouble and said, oh God, just deliver me from this, and then I will, blah, blah, blah. You know what the Psalms are saying? It's about time for you to make true on your vows to God. You say, man, God, you're going to deliver me from this, Lord, I'll love you. It's about time to get up and start loving God. You say, Lord, man, no, you go, Lord, you bring me through this, and then I want to talk about you. It's about time to start talking about God. You know, when we came forward, by the way, we said that, man, you know what, I'm a sinner. And you know what? Jesus Christ has died for my sins. That's what I'm going to live. You were giving a vow. When you stood up there, you said amen? Yes? It's about time that we start paying. And guys, I'm not saying that as in like some, like, oh, we got to go. What I'm just saying is, man, it's just a reality. Man, no, he's loved us, man. If he's loved us, can't we love him back a little bit? You know, and the only thing he asks for over and over is to make mention of him. Walking, but if you're walking in the reality, what are you going to be talking about? Him. And that's what he goes over and over, man. Testify of me to all nations, every creature.
Just again, it becomes an action and not a thought. Thought turns into action.
The thought turns into action. He says, the last one he says is, come and you'll hear. First it was come and see, now it's come and you will hear. He says, because I myself will declare to you what he has done for my soul. Some of you might say, man, you know what? I don't know the scriptures, I don't know this, I don't know that. You know what? No, what has he done for your soul? Then you know what? That's all that you need to declare. He said, man, he's made my soul not guilty. Well, then declare that. Yeah? Yeah? Oh, I don't know if I'm going to say it right, if I'm going to say it wrong. How can you say it wrong? It's what your experience was. It's what he did for your soul. You know what? And you can stutter all over the place. Moses was the best stutterer that ever stuttered. And he led 4 million people out of slavery, out of the bondage of this earth. Yeah? Maybe you mess up all over the place. Paul said that he didn't even come speaking in the best utterance that should be. That's the Apostle Paul. And how many hundreds of thousands of people did he see saved in his lifetime? So you know what? Stop worrying about you and worry about him. Stop worrying about your life and live in his life. Stop talking about these things and talk about what he's done for your soul. Yeah? And boy, guys, man, we'll be rocking. And we are rocking. And it is happening. God is freeing us now. I love you all very, very much. Thank you for your patience and your attention. Go forth praying. If you need to use the restrooms,